Hi guys, welcome back to XCOM 2 War of the Chosen. It's a modded core collection, so it's pretty good. It tries to stay faithful to the original game and fixes it up a bit too. You probably need to get around while your vehicle's being repaired, right? 2. Plan through car shield and rental car options too. Then comes the best part. 3. When you pick up your vehicle, you don't have a big repair bill to worry about. Car shield administrators get your covered repairs paid directly to the shop, so you're back on the road with no worry. Call now to get an affordable plan through Car Shield for your vehicle before it's too late. When you call Car Shield, whether you got a small problem like a power window motor that could cost a few $100, or a big problem like an engine or transmission that could cost you thousands of dollars, to take care of it. Car Shield is the #1 auto protection company in the country, and their administrators have paid out more than $1 billion in auto repairs. That's billion with a B. Car Shield is the choice that gives you the Car Shield guarantee. Your rate never goes up, and your coverage never goes down, no matter how many claims you pay. Look, whatever. As the car truck ages, the parts and components are gonna fail. It's not worth the risk. Call Car Shield now.
Wait until your car breaks down is too late. Call Car Shield for coverage on up to 5,000 parts and get the Car Shield guarantee, where your rate never goes up and your coverage never goes down, no matter how many claims you have. Call 800-991-1467. 800-991-1467.
As Joe Biden's radical base burns American flags on the streets, while Donald Trump is surging in the polls, Senator Ted Cruz reacts tonight on Hannity.
Follow your pet's every step with the world's most trusted GPS tracker for pets.
Move, move, move! Enemy squad located. Solid copy. Enemy sighted.
For you around the corner. Two. 3.
Fulton County DA Fonnie Willis to
Come on, that's bullshit. It wasn't even.
this trial to at least next year. Remember, back in February,
I hate when the game does this. It does it all the time. With any mods, anything. If you think it's clear, it's not clear. Fucking bullshit.
Impacted the case.
You're confused. You think I'm on trial. These people are on trial for trying to steal an election in 2020. I'm not on trial, no matter how hard you try to put me on trial.
2.
Matt Whitaker, former acting attorney general,
3.
Trump is standing by. The first to the senior correspondent, Jonathan Seri. He's live for us in Atlanta. Jonathan, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Trace. Even if defense attorneys ultimately fail to win this appeal, just the fact that the court granted them this hearing that will eventually take place, legal experts say, is a real victory for the defense. Take this.
It's a massive win because, one, it keeps everybody's focus and attention away from the underlying issues and the underlying allegations of the indictment and focus on the conduct of Fonnie Willis.
And it is all but certain to delay the trial because the appeals
Ooh.
into their next term until August. That's the same month when Fonnie Willis had hoped to begin opening arguments in her criminal trial. Alan Stockton Jr., attorney for Trump co-defendant Rudy Giuliani, tells Fox News, "I would not be surprised if this issue is unresolved for the next at least 8 to 12 months. At the end of the day, this is the beginning of a long process." The order under appeal allowed Fani Willis to stay on the Georgia election interference case on condition her former boyfriend, Nathan Wade, stepped down as special prosecutor.
He excused himself from the case, but our argument is that basically this does not right the wrong.
And this appeal will ultimately be heard by a 3-judge panel appointed randomly. But again, no word on when this hearing will take place. Trace?
Yeah. Sometime after August. Jonathan Terry live for us in Atlanta. Jonathan, thank you. Let's bring in former acting Attorney General Matt Whitaker. I mean, the key thing there was this is a long, drawn-out process, Matt. Judge Scott McAfee, it's important to kind of go back to March 15th when he was making this decision. He said, quoting here, "The finding is by no means an indication that the court condones this tremendous lapse in judgment or the unprofessional manner of the district attorney's testimony during the evidentiary hearing." And of course, as everybody remembers, he also added the odor of mendacity. Does Fani Willis stay or go eventually?
Well, this is a big development, and in Judge McAfee's order, it was written specifically for the appeal. He was very detailed in his factual findings, and in fact, as you read it, I'm sure you felt the same.
Excellent.
You felt he was going to disqualify the whole office, including Fani Willis, Nathan Wade, and everyone else that was involved in this case. He didn't do that, but I think he's kind of
Excellent.
King Solomon.
Fucking love this game, man. It's like my favorite.
He's up for re-election in November, and so I think, you know, he tried to be cute, knowing that a court of appeals will look at this factual basis and say, yes, the entire office is disqualified, including B.A. Willis.
Have a bowl.
Even if a court of appeals doesn't come to that, it's difficult because there's been so much pressure put on Fani Willis. It's difficult, is it not, for her to remain as being credible in this case?
That's true, and you mentioned, you know, the judge's order, who still maintains the trial, ultimately, if it happens, is he said an odor of mendacity permeates the case, which means you're all liars. I don't believe you. They just didn't have the evidence or the availability of that evidence to prove it beyond, you know, the standard that I needed to meet. But, you know, you all, I don't trust you, and nothing you file, I'm going to believe.
Yeah, I want to play this soundbite because this is Fani Willis on January 14th, before the judge said any of this. Watch.
You did not tell me as a woman of color, it would not matter what I did. My motive, my talent, my ability, and my character would be constantly attacked. I'm just asking God. Isn't there someone in the sea of what a man is qualified, no matter his achievements? What more can one achieve?
I mean, that was 2 months before the judge said that she was already kind of putting the narrative in place.
Yeah, and this is what's happening to all these cases, from politically motivated, over-aggressive prosecutors. Each of these cases is kind of falling apart, blowing up, unable to maintain these aggressive trial schedules that they had hoped to maintain. But, you know, her playing, you know, the race card and suggesting that these attacks were anything but her ethical lapses, I think, was, you know, also hurts the case for her and her continuing.
Yeah, and I want to just say that we should note the classified documents case in Florida now also on the back burner, which leads up with the one case, which is going to start up again tomorrow morning. In this case, Stormy Daniels takes the stand again tomorrow, Matt. It looks like she's not doing the prosecution much good.
No, and her evidence and her testimony is really not relevant to the documents case or the election interference case. It's been very salacious. I think it's more prejudicial than ever we've probative. And then really, I think we're getting very close to mistrial. We'll see how she comes on tomorrow on cross-examination and redirect. But I just think the judge is going to have a hard time holding this together.
Yeah, we're going to talk more about Stormy's testimony coming up. Matt Whitaker, always great to have you on. Thank you, sir. Still ahead this hour, Dave Rubin on the Boy Scouts' new gender-neutral name change.
Been taken to a nearby Advent black site. though its exact location remains.
The Fed is printing money like crazy. Debt is rising by the trillions. Is there a way to profit from this madness? What do these experts say?
The more money you print, the less dollars you print, and that's why you're going to go to even Bank of America says $3,000 gold is entirely possible. Silver still has the bigger run coming up. Gold will outperform stocks. Silver will outperform gold.
Experts agree. Massive money printing and rising debt could send gold and silver prices much higher. How high? Find out. Call for the experts' money printing report and gold and silver decision guide. See just how high gold and silver prices could go. I think gold and silver the report and guide are free. Also ask how you can get $15,000 in bonus gold or silver. Call your capital now at 800-885-2000. 800-885-2000. 800-885-2000.
Shouldn't wait too long on that, Professor. We have to
Imagine a future where plastic is not wasteful, but instead remade over and over into the things that keep our food fresher, our families safer, and our planet cleaner. To help us get there, America's plastic makers are investing billions of dollars to create innovative products and new recycling technologies for sustainable change. Because when you push for smarter solutions, big things happen.
I've been cooking most of my life after seeing my parents cook, so I stuck with some of the Spanish traditions, some of the Cuban dishes, and I like to cook my own food because I want to know what's in food. Balance in nature, it's already incorporated into my diet. I've looked at other supplements out there, and they don't have the balance in nature. So I am taking the initiative to stay on balance in nature forever.
Get 35% off your first order as a burger customer. Call or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code FOX6.
Generalized myasthenia problems made my life a lot harder. But the picture started changing when I started on Vyvgart.
Vyvgart is for adults with generalized myasthenia gravis who are anti-AChR antibody positive. In a clinical trial, Vyvgart significantly improved most participants' ability to do daily activities when added to their current GNG treatment. Most participants taking Vyvgart also had less muscle weakness.
And your Vyvgart treatment schedule is designed just for you.
In a clinical study, the most common side effects included urinary and respiratory tract infections and headache. Vyvgart may increase the risk of infection. Tell your doctor if you have a history of infections or symptoms of an infection. Vyvgart can cause allergic reactions. Available as Vyvgart for IV infusion.
We need more personnel too. Good. Rookies are good.
Additional side effects for Vyvgart and Trulic may include injection site reactions. Talk to your neurologist about Vyvgart. These bills are crazy.
She has no idea she's sitting on a gold mine. She doesn't know that if she owns a life insurance policy of $100,000 or more, she can sell all or part of it to Coventry for cash, even a term policy. Even a term policy? Even a term!
all we've seen these years. Look,
Find out if you're sitting on a gold mine. Call Coventry Direct today, 800-496-9200. Or visit coventrydirect.com.
My theology professor, the Catholic school I went to, was a guy named Riley, last name, and he had been drafted by the Green Bay Packers. President Biden appearing to struggle a bit with the teleprompter in Battleground, Wisconsin, at an event where he tried to contrast Bidenomics with the Trump economy. As a new poll shows, 38% of Americans have confidence in Biden's economic decision-making. That, by the way, is a near historic low, trailing Bush, Obama, and Trump at the same time in their presidencies. Let's bring in Lawrence Simonetti from Fox Business. Lawrence, great to have you on. I want to play a little bit more sound of the president today, and then we'll get your reaction on this. I said earlier, we ran 178,000. Racine is seeing some of the strongest new business growth in all of Wisconsin. It's only just beginning. We're seeing a great American comeback story all across Wisconsin. He's in the Midwest, so he's back talking about Biden. Not a lot of people talking about Biden. What are your thoughts?
It's a tough sell. Reports of the local business, and they're saying, yeah, we welcome the job. Welcome a 3.8 sometimes we go to the local food store and see that prices are up almost 20%. Yeah, maybe our paychecks are all higher. That's great, but they don't go as far because the price of everything else is higher too. So people don't think the economy is as strong as he wants it to seem.
Yeah, you say it's a tough sell, and I want to give people some context. Here's why it's a tough sell. I want to go back to 2016 and 2020. Here are the results of the elections in 2016 2020. In 2016, President Trump won that race in Wisconsin by 7/10 of a point. 2020, Joe Biden won Wisconsin by 7/10 of a point. And now you look at this and it says, is the economy getting worse, better, or staying the same? And you see better 20, worse 49%. That's a big number. And the final one I want to show is who do you trust more on the economy? And you can see there, Donald Trump 53%, Joe Biden 44%. It is a very tough sell in Wisconsin.
So when you ask people, were you better off 4 years ago, they probably will say yes. And if they don't, they might say, well, I don't remember talking about the price of eggs. I don't remember talking about the cost of insurance or the price of gasoline. That's what we remember under this administration. So you remember your paycheck going further. Under the Trump, in 2019, we had incomes at an all-time high and the poverty rate at an all-time low. Every racial group in America was doing better. That's what people remember. And then they ask themselves, okay, so let's talk about the next 4 years. Which president's policies will be better for my wallet? Will it be the spending of President Biden? Or the lower taxes, less regulation of former President Trump? And they might say the latter, but that's the decision that every American family is asking themselves.
Well, it's interesting you say this is what we'll remember, because we spend a lot of time on it. We talk about the border, and we talk about these protests, and we talk about crime. We talk about some of the things that
upgrade some guys. It's a good mission to upgrade some guys.
A lot of this will come down to
I got a rookie and then a regular guy on there who's already classed, so sniper and specialist.
We've got 6 months to go to the election. The bottom line, it's usually the inflation and the economy that are most important kitchen table issues. It looks high in immigration here, and that is obviously a huge issue. It's not the number one issue for many, many voters, but that is inflation. Because a lot of people struggling are saying, well, my community is getting nothing from this administration. Look at all the freebies that are going to these migrants coming in. They're working for less, and it's pressuring our wages. So that immigration is the economy in many senses of the word.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Joe Dallas is throwing something at me. Thank you for coming on. Appreciate it. Big time Stormy Daniels to take the stand for a second day of steamy testimony as we learn more about the Biden backing prosecutor who questioned
the excitement and anticipation in the room hit a new high. She entered wearing all black, as if on her own. The loose-fitting, plain black clothing draping from her shoulders to her toes suggested modesty overnight.
Veteran homeowners, need cash but worried you can't get a home loan because of your credit? Here's great news. At New Day, we've been granted automatic authority by the VA to make our own loan approval decisions. In fact, if you've had credit challenges and missed a payment along the way, you're more than 5 times more likely to get approved for the New Day 100 VA cash out loan. No one knows veterans like New Day USA.
Call 1-855-510-4070.
You didn't live this strong, this long, to get put on the shelf like a porcelain doll. If you have postmenopausal osteoporosis and are at high risk for fracture, you can build new bone with Evenity. Ask your doctor if you could do more than just slowing down bone loss with Evenity. Want stronger bones? Then build new bone. Evenity can help in just 12 months. Evenity is proven to reduce spine fracture risk by 73%.
Evenity can increase risk of heart attack, stroke, or death from cardiovascular problems. Do not take Evenity if you have low blood calcium or are allergic to it. Serious allergic reactions like low blood calcium have occurred. Tell your doctor about jogging problems, as they have been reported with Evenity, or about pain in your hip or your thigh, as unusual thigh bone fractures have occurred.
Don't let a break put you on a shelf. Talk to your doctor about building new bone with Evenity.
Your best days of the year start here at Oda Orange Days. It's the year's biggest selection of Kubota tractors, zero-turn mowers, and utility vehicles, including the #1 selling compact tractor in the U.S. only. Plus the year's best deals, like 0% APR for 84 months, $300 off select compact tractors.
I like the Lost. They help me when there's other advent as well too, so that's good.
My name is Jonathan Wagner, and I joined the Army in 1996. I love actually up in one of the patrol elements, and so we were a reaction force.
Not alone. Those things look like people. What was human died years ago.
Everything messed up pretty bad. And then we were kind of in the top spot, town towers, and took the call.
DNA has mutated well beyond what we would classify as human. Perhaps a result of long-term exposure to the alien radiation from those pods. So why anyone would subject themselves to
Towers told me it's smart, and that one
When the
was
government fell, millions starved.
They came
Many
together
fled
better.
to cities such as this to scavenge for food. They did not heed the warning. These creatures' true strength lies in their numbers.
I'm Rebecca Mack. I'm married
If we are careful with our
retired. That's the Mack because I'm still in the reserves, and I sometimes take off for about 2 weeks. Knowing that he can be 100% independent in his house with the kids is huge.
I love the kind of, all of those people we have are really special. So having those smart people, they're things smarter than I am.
The shadows fail us.
It's amazing. Town of the Towers has been very first the whole way through. It's hard for me to express the gratitude for being lucky to have that on your side.
My turn on watch.
Well, tomorrow marks day 2 of Stormy Daniels on the stand at former President Trump's criminal trial. Even the judge called some of the details that she testified about surrounding the alleged 2006 sexual encounter between the two, quote, unnecessary. He still denied the defense motion for a mistrial. Nate Foy is live outside the courthouse in Manhattan with more on what we can look forward to. Nate, get up.
First, they may appear mindless, but they hear.
Hey, Trace, former President Donald Trump is criticizing the court's gag order today. He's not allowed to speak publicly about Stormy Daniels, who testified yesterday. Her testimony set to resume at 9:30 tomorrow morning. She told the court yesterday that she met Trump, as you mentioned, in 2006, and that the two soon after had sex. Now, she also admits to hating Trump and previously posting online, calling him an orange turd. During one exchange, Trump attorney Susan Neckles asked him, quote, "You despise him and make fun of him." Daniels responded, "Because he started it." Daniels testified how she met Trump at a celebrity golf tournament. She then went into great detail explaining how they allegedly had sex. Trump's lawyers, as you mentioned, asked for a mistrial, arguing the jury heard damaging testimony completely unrelated to the charges that Trump faces. Judge Juan Prashad agreed the testimony went too far, but ultimately denied that request for a mistrial. And Trump posted on True Social today, quote,
Oops.
"It is a really bad feeling to have your constitutional right to free speech, such a big part of life in our country, so unfairly taken from you, especially when all of the sleazebags, lowlifes, and grifters that you oppose are allowed to say absolutely anything that they want." Trump is meeting with donors in Florida today. He'll fly back to New York tonight before coming back here to the courthouse tomorrow, as Daniels is expected to take questions not only from Trump's lawyers, but the prosecution has signaled they have more questions for her as well. Trace?
Yeah, going to be interesting. Nate Foy live outside the courthouse. Nate, thank you. Let's bring in John Yoo, former Deputy Assistant Attorney General, now a UC Berkeley Law Professor. John, great to have you on. I just want to know, was Stormy Daniels' testimony allowed solely to humiliate Trump? Because Laura Ingraham had this to say. Watch it.
The New York judicial system, after watching this today, listening to the transcripts, reading what we can read, has indicted itself. Stormy Daniels' testimony is entirely irrelevant to this case.
Certainly not relevant to any falsifying of documents, Jeff.
We do not defeat the aliens soon.
In the law, we have this idea to allow evidence in, it's got to be more probative. The facts of the case than prejudicial. Her testimony was the exact opposite. It was so inflammatory, so vivid, so destructive, and so aimed at just destroying Donald Trump's character before the jury that it should have been excluded because it almost has nothing to do with the actual charges, which is how did Trump account for in his own books the payments to Stormy Daniels, which he doesn't deny were made.
Yeah, and that's what the key is. Nobody is contesting or disputing these payouts to Stormy Daniels or the non-disclosure that the NDA. They are litigating something that nobody disputes. So they actually, the defense calling for a mistrial yesterday. Was there a point where, John, you thought they might get it?
I would have thought before a neutral judge, they might get one, and they may eventually get one on appeal. But this judge has been brushing aside objections left and right. There are a lot of opportunities where he should have slowed down and considered, are there any real legal claims going on here that encompass Donald Trump's conduct? Should I really let people like Stormy Daniels testify and say he's been barreling through to try to get to a verdict as fast as possible when he really should? If you're going after a president for the first time in the history of the country, everything should be buttoned up and done properly.
Yeah, I think you're fair. I mean, listen, the judge allowed this testimony and then chided the defense for not objecting enough. You think it's only... Anyway, Senator John Fetterman, the sitting senator, was talking with Brett Baer last night, and he said this.
I'm a sitting senator, and I'm truthfully not even exactly sure what his trials are about, how many of them, or whatever. I mean, I think it's, most voters in Pennsylvania agree that it's a very stark choice as well. And so I'm not following it that closely. I don't think a lot of the voters there, and they're going to, in 6 months from now, they're going to have a chance to vote.
And one of the things we hear about that statement, John, is that it's hard to keep track. It's hard to keep track of what the crimes are. And in this case, and Stormy Daniels and New York versus Trump, we still don't know specifically what the felony is.
Trace, that's exactly why the DA did what he did yesterday. It's because he knows that the legal charges, which are about prosecuting a federal crime he's not allowed to prosecute involving obscure campaign finance law, those charges are so weak, I think they're so likely to get overturned on appeal, that instead the DA is trying to basically run like a reality TV show, but so vivid and that the jury will just be moved to convict Donald Trump because they just don't like him, that they don't like his character, not because he committed a crime.
So they know it's going to get overturned. It looks like it's going to get overturned, but the conviction is what you need. Because once you get the conviction, John, you have convinced the people that this man is a felon. Is that a fair assessment?
Yes, because I think the real audience here is not the jury. It is a jury, but the more important audience for the DA is the national electorate, and the more important for event is this November now. I think he doesn't worry about if he's reversed on appeal, as long as he gets this inflammatory information out to the voters.
Well, it's a great point. John, thank you as always. Meantime, on a new episode of the Untold Story podcast, Martha sits down with Alina Habba, former President Trump's legal spokeswoman. The two talk about the significance of Stormy Daniels taking the stand in Trump's New York trial. It's available now on FoxNewsPodcast.com. Meantime, Dave Rubin on the Scouts dropping boy from its name for the sake of inclusion. That's next.
Your calling. Some people find theirs at an early age. Others, later in life. No matter when you find it, consider yourself lucky, because it becomes your everything. Our calling is to build trucks. That's why trucks are what we do. We put our everything in every truck, so that when you find your call, nothing can stop you from answering.
Our clients love these good doctor-written testimonies. Listen, the proper annuity used correctly can be a tremendous tool to help you achieve financial security.
Here are the benefits: stock market growth, protection against market losses, compound interest, and no annual fees. Sound too good to be true? If you have at least $100,000 to invest, get your investor's guide. Let's see if it's right.
It is these resources that are of true concern.
When you show dogs at Westminster Dog Show as long as we have,
People always ask for pet tips. For us, joint health comes first.
and it starts with Costa. Our dogs are like athletes in their ring.
At home, there are companions just like yours.
Our veterinarian recommends giving their Costa every day.
For the moments that matter,
Trust Costa.
Cosequin, the #1 vet-recommended retail joint health brand, and official joint health supplement of the Westminster Dog Show.
we're a society in crisis. But what if we turn their discipline into not? What if CEOs, CHOs, and politicals were catalysts for civility? Civility is, after all, the sweet that takes the bitterness out of toxic disagreements. At Charm, we know people in businesses are their best.
Nice.
Starting
Excellent.
conversations to shape a better world.
2-for-1 special.
We don't need to take any unnecessary chances.
Nature is quite the artist, wouldn't you agree? The pigments that nature uses to paint its fruits and vegetables aren't there just for visual appeal. Those colorings are also essential to our nutrition. Hi, my name is Vincent Clemens, and I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist. I found that the vast majority of my clients rarely got enough servings of fruits and vegetables. Balance of nature dietary supplements can provide more of the concentrated fruit and vegetable ingredients and these pigments. Please remember that considering a balanced diet should be your first priority in improving your health. Nonetheless, if you're considering a nutritional supplement, then I highly recommend Balance of Nature.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplement. Get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer. Call or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code FOXNEWS.
We will deal with the lost backlog.
Falls are the #1 cause of injury to senior citizens.
The rest of their guys.
Acorn Stairlifts has the solution. Just don't fall. Sit, relax, ride with an Acorn Stairlift, the world's leader in stairlifts. Don't let limited mobility keep you from going up and down your stairs, even outside. Call Acorn Stairlifts now for a free information kit and no obligation quote. Why risk falling when you can safely ride?
Our Acorn Stairlift is definitely portable.
The Acorn Stairlift has a padded seat and backrest. Safety sensors stop the chair if there are obstacles. The seat swivels and locks so you don't twist your body. The Acorn Stairlift folds away and even runs during power outages.
I was really surprised at how little best.
Call 1-800-709-4205 right now for your free information kit or visit our website today. That's 1-800-709-4205.
Well, after 114 years, the Boy Scouts of America is rebranded, ditching the word boy and simply calling itself Scouting America. 5 years ago, the group started accepting girls into the Boy Scouts, and now CEO Roger Crone says the name change, which goes into effect in February, will float ensure that everyone feels welcome. Let's bring in Dave Rubin, host of the Rubin Report. Dave, great to have you on the show. I made a phone call before I came here just to double check. The Girl Scouts still do not allow boys in the Scouts, but the Boy Scouts now, it's welcome to all. What are your thoughts on this name change?
Well, this is just the next extension of all of our institutions failing. Now, I understand, and I heard Crone speak about it, that the Boy Scouts numbers have been going down, and they're trying to rectify that and try some of these things to see if they can fix that. But it is actually okay if boys and girls have different things. There are differences between boys and girls. There are differences between men and women. Boys tend to like, say, G.I.
Nice
Joe,
gun.
Transformers, and girls generally like, let's say, Barbie and Easy Bake Oven. That doesn't make any of those things better or worse than each other, but they are different. Men and women are wired differently. Hunter-gatherer, generally men, everything being equal, tend to do things that involve things. So men usually become engineers. Women maybe become nurses. There are biological reasons for that, and I would say something like this, just mixing these kids up It just is another extension of, okay, so now we'll talk about gender with them, and we'll talk about sexuality with them, and all of these things that you can talk about when they're of a certain age, but we don't need that confusion, and I suspect that there will be young boys selling Girl Scout minutes soon enough.
Yeah, and you make a great point, because the truth is boys and girls are different, and we not only think, it's okay for them to have their own spaces, we have reams of data that shows that single-sex courses and education in some capacities are extraordinarily important to both boys and girls, and if you take those away, it becomes detrimental.
Sure, and I also wonder, so what is this going to do to the Girl Scouts? If the Girl Scouts are now going to say, all right, we're just for girls, but the Boy Scouts, or whatever the new name is saying, well, we're for boys and girls. So now is it that the girls who happen to be a little more physically active or a little more into making a fire, a campfire, or a tent, they'll do more stuff with the boys, and then the girls will just have less Girl Scouts to do activities with? It's one of these things where they're just throwing anything at an organization that is struggling. But by the way, I don't know that it's necessarily struggling because of having anything to do with not mixing genders. It's probably struggling because times change. The Boy Scouts is over 100 years old. Young people do different things these days, where 50 or 60 years ago, if the Boy Scouts was big and you learned how to tie a knot and go into the forest and do different things, now kids are playing different sports. They're playing video games. They're online, for better or worse. So some of these things, they're trying to put a Band-Aid on a problem or on a wound that isn't really the main issue here.
Yeah, they had 5 million 20 years ago, 15 years ago. They had 2 million 5 years ago. Now they're down to 1 million. I'll tell this sound. This is Lois Alvar, Eagle Scouts.
I've had a lot of trouble in the past explaining to people that I'm not exactly part of the Girl Scouts program, but I'm part of Scouts USA. Scouting America sounds a lot more inclusive of all of the other people that are in Scouting.
Yeah, so they're trying to, even the kids are trying to figure out how to rationalize this. Your thoughts, your final thoughts on this, Dave?
Sure. Well, look, once you start confusing kids about gender, and then we know that all the other institutions are failing them in so many ways when it comes to education and everything else. You confuse them about that. You confuse them as to whether the United States is fundamentally good, or democracy, or capitalism is good. You confuse them about the history of our country and our culture. And then next thing you know, those kids who are learning good skills as part of the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, they become the protesters who are wearing that and calling for genocide and trying to burn down the University of Chicago, etc., etc. These things are not disconnected.
Yeah, sometimes you just need your own space. Dave Rubin, great to have you on. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
We are to have any chance of success.
Like 80 points back in 2020, started a bit.
Without warning years ago, had they not, we would have already regained our home.
Trump. I seen Joe Biden online and stuff and like falling all over. I'm like, yo, what's
Okay.
probably to do better with Trump helping more witnesses and like coming back and taking over the 2024. But I talked to him on the phone with Tom Brady one time. Yeah, it seemed like a cool guy.
Shout out to Donald Trump. Gianno, Antonio Brown doesn't appear to be alone in this. I mean, it's the landscape is moving here.
In short order.
I mean, it absolutely is moving. You got to keep in mind when it comes to young people, especially 18 and 44, you see it in polls showing that Donald Trump has 32%
of those individuals, and his numbers are actually ticked up when it comes to older Americans as well. And when you look specifically at black men, he's been resonating with that group, just like the clip you just demonstrated. Now, the question is, how do you continue to push that if you're Republicans? Because to my understanding, Donald Trump doesn't have a lot of black-centric staff to work in these particular areas, and he absolutely should. They need to jump on that, especially since you got the Hispanics who are now breaking ground, and then you're going to have the young folks who support Hamas or maybe the Palestinian people who don't like what Joe Biden has been doing. Those folks may not even vote. So again, it bodes well for Donald Trump and it benefits him.
Yeah, and you know, I was talking about a poll there, Ron, and here is the NBC poll on the generational divide among black voters. You can see it there. Age 18 to 49, 25% for Donald Trump, 58% for Joe Biden. Age 50 plus, 6% for Trump, 88%. But when you talk to younger voters, black, white, Hispanic, well, the same thing comes up. They're disenchanted because they can't buy a house, and a burrito is $16 and they don't get it.
Well, I mean, the polls are consistent. There's a real threat to the Biden campaign in terms of low enthusiasm right now, and that could result in low turnout in a close election. Trace, that could be the difference. And so I think that the Biden campaign has to adapt a very clear strategy because, you know what, most black people, I mean, it's overwhelming, do not like Donald Trump. They do not think that he is a good president. In fact, they think he's a racist. So what the Biden people have to do is say, this is not about a referendum on what you think of me and what I didn't do and whether the housing prices have gone up. This is a choice election, and the choice is between me and a guy that you think, I mean, on the economy, on abortion, on race relations, is just an abomination. So that's what the Biden people have to do. Just make it very clear. This is a choice come November. You can gripe and complain about this or that. But what it really comes down to is, do you want Trump in the White House? And I think that's going to be a strong message in all the advertising you see to the black community coming from the Biden campaign.
Excellent.
Dr. Barry Sellers said this on The View today, John, and I'll get your, then you can go after one.
Black women have been the backbone of the Democratic Party for a long time, but black men are the second largest demographic. For the past 2 decades, we've been ignoring those warning signs. We haven't been meeting them where they are. We haven't been listening. Black men care more about than just how to keep from getting arrested and getting our friends who are arrested out of jail. You have to talk to us holistically.
Hey, it's a fair point, John. Go ahead.
I mean, he does, but just to go to Juan's point, he's saying that people don't like Donald Trump and some of them view him as a racist. A lot of those sentiments apply to Joe Biden in the black community. A lot of young people feel that way about him. So just to apply that sample, it doesn't necessarily tell you what the ramifications of the race is going to be. Now, Bakari Sellers makes an interesting point here, and I do agree. Black men in the Democratic Party feel as though they've been taken for granted. They feel like they're not heard. They feel like they're dismissed. And we're seeing the ramifications of that. We saw it in 2020 when we saw Trump win double digits of black men. Now, this is going to be the case here because we've had enough. We've had enough of the Democratic Party to spell our community, decade after decade. Education, and the migrant crisis in the city of Chicago, where they've been prioritizing migrants over the black folks there who've been paying taxes for years.
Let me give Juan 30 seconds to respond.
Thanks, Doug. You know, I mean, John, the numbers are pretty overwhelming in that Washington Post poll that we had based this whole segment on, which says that 80+% of black Americans see Trump as racist. And you think about the attacks that he's had on a lot of these black prosecutors, Alvin Bragg in New York, Bonnie Willis in Georgia. You know, it's just constant. And I think that's not, you can't say, oh yeah, they think Biden's racist. They're just not happy in so many ways with Biden, but it's a whole different world than what they're thinking about Don Williams.
John Caldwell, thank you both. That is the story of Wednesday, May 8th, 2024. But as always, the story goes on. I'll see you back here tonight. Fox News at night, 8 p.m. on the West. Your world right now.
If you are currently on George Washington University property, you're in violation of WOTC code.
We allow protesters ample time to leave the area. In total, there were 6 dispersal announcements before our officers took action. Many complied and left the encampment area. Those who did not comply were arrested. MPD's response to First Amendment demonstration is apolitical. It is without regard to one side or the other.
Chaos breaking out as police step in to clear anti-Israeli encampment at George Washington University. Same thing in New York City at the Fashion Institute of Technology. But now the graduation ceremony is closing in. What needs to be done to cut these disruptions out? Welcome everybody, I'm Neil DeVuto, and this is your world in a confusing world today, as a lot of these disruptions don't ease. Some of them are heating up as we speak. In that area at George Washington University, cleanup is underway, and arrests have lawmakers speaking out. What do you have for me, my friend?
Neil, good afternoon to you. A lot of changes in the last 24 hours. The student protest area where we've seen those protesters for nearly 2 weeks, that is now completely cleared out. Those protesters no longer able to get in, neither are we in the press. And as you mentioned, overnight there were some 33 people arrested as the university simply said enough was enough. During the arrest, which happened well before sunrise, we know that pepper spray was used. These protesters claimed that police were simply going too far. We heard from the police today. They said they were necessary because some of those protesters decided to try and fight back as they were clearing the encampment. Within the last hour, we heard some supportive lawmakers up on Capitol Hill who were supportive of the protesters who were arrested. Here's what member of the so-called left squad had to say last night.
I wanted all the Democrats and Republicans to know they cannot arrest their way out of this growing dissent. Every corner of our country, people of different faiths, different colors, ethnicity, backgrounds of different types are coming together and saying, Palestinians deserve to live.
Perhaps the biggest symbol of the GW protest was the statue of George Washington, and while it was once covered in graffiti, it is now covered up. The university is likely going to have to spend a lot of time and money trying to restore it. We did get a statement from George Washington University led today, and they say all activities, including activities of free expression on campus, will require reservation to the Division for Student Affairs. In addition, no sound amplification will be permitted for such events on campus. An indication they don't want to see anything like the protest that has been out here to pop back up. Whether or not we will see students trying to take over another part of campus is yet to be seen. You mentioned some of the arrests that have been taking place in New York. We know there's still protests happening at MIT. As for GW specifically, the commencement address is still scheduled to happen in a little while from now, I think May 19th. And we also know that this area where the protesters were, that'll still be off limits in the next several weeks. Neil.
Mark Brandon, thank you very much for that. I want to go to Scott Walker right now, of course, the former Wisconsin governor, presidential candidate, president of Young America's Foundation. He's dealing with this and aware of this in his own state at UW-Madison, for example. Governor, it's good to see you. I know at UW-Madison, some faculty members got involved in the walkout in support of some of those protesters. You know where that stands for?
Nice shot.
Yeah, well, they continued pushing it. A number of them were arrested and then came back there again. Remember, this is not about free speech. It is illegal in Wisconsin to put up a camp and stay overnight on any university property without prior authority, approval from the chancellor or other administrators. They're violating the law. The law is clear, so whether it's a student, whether it's a faculty member or others out there, I'm all for free speech. At Young America's Foundation, we've been pushing it for years when our conservative, right-of-center speakers and students are constantly bombarded and pushed back at universities. But this is not free speech. Violating the law, destruction of property, that's not the case. And these people, these students and faculty, need to face the consequences.
You know, it's wildly inconsistent among colleges and universities and 60 plus that have had these type of walkouts or worse. It hasn't been nearly as severe in most of the colleges and universities where protests have continued. But again, there's no consistent way to counter them. Some schools like Brown and Western try to make deals with the protesters to say that they would put on a ballot or measure it.
You want free speech, then go out and do it.
And that's just it. You got a bunch of small cracks where it's just think that they can violate the law. There has to be consequences. Anytime they try to, by the way, these poor kids that are on these campuses, 4 years ago when they were in high school, graduation ended because of COVID, now because of the handful students aren't siding with the protesters at all. They just want to go back and have a chance to finish off their classes and get what they deserve to do, which is access to a quality education. And oh, by the way, like the first one, nationwide it's about an 80-20 split in favor of Israel over Hamas, the terrorists. Even on college campuses, it's about 57% side with Israel over Hamas or something. So this is a radical minority out there that the college administrators teach realistically.
This might be more of an political question, so forgive me, but it does seem odd to me, Governor, that through all of this, the Jewish vote, which has oftentimes been almost monolithic in its support of Democrats, is still disproportionately that way, even now, even after all of this. I just find that curious.
Oh, I'm shocked. I know this is one of the things we've been doing here on America's Foundation is pushing back in support of Jewish students. You know, again, we get plenty of pushback. Administrators, student government leaders will try and stop some of our speakers here on America's Foundation because they'll say, oh, their words, their language is somehow harmful because they don't want to have a true and open, honest debate, which is what you should have in college. And in contrast, though, when Jewish students are actually barricaded up for fear of their life, or at least bodily harm, inside dorms or libraries or other places, sadly, many of these administrators say, oh, it's just about free speech. No, there should be no student. I don't care whether they're Jewish or any other faith tradition or background. No student in America should fear for their life or their safety on a college campus. We should be able to speak freely anywhere, but most particularly on a college campus. But speaking freely is not the same as issuing threats, breaking the law, or destruction of property. Those things have to have consequences.
Governor Scott Walker, good seeing you again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, in the meantime here, you know, of course, about the fixation in New York, of course, the ongoing Stormy Daniels testimony that's supposed to resume in New York. But two key cases are getting a lot of attention right now that could be punted aside, or at least changed dramatically. Of course, you've heard about the documents case going on in Florida right now, where the judge is saying this might be put off indefinitely. Then there is what's going on in Georgia with the district attorney, Bonnie Willis. Now, an appeals court is going to weigh what the Donald Trump legal team wants to see done. Get her disqualified from handling the case altogether. Jonathan Surrey in Atlanta. More on that, Jonathan. Hi there, Neil. Legal experts say that what happened today was a victory for the defense, not just because it keeps the spotlight on Bonnie Willis, the top prosecutor in the case, instead of the defendants, but also it is all but certain to delay the trial. Legal experts also say the Georgia Court of Appeals has 2 terms in which it could take up this case. The first of those terms doesn't even begin until August, which was exactly when Willis had hoped to bring former President Trump and his associates to trial.
There's no way this is going to go to trial anytime before the election. We'd be lucky to see a trial in spring of 2025.
I believe you.
Ashley Merchant, the defense lawyer who filed the initial motion to disqualify Willis, tells Fox News, "We feel confident that when it reviews the clear evidence of conflict in this case, the Court of Appeals will agree with us and disqualify Ms. Willis and her entire office for further prosecution of this matter and require that a neutral prosecutor be appointed to review whether these charges are even appropriate." Now, Neil, in the majority of cases, the Georgia Court of Appeals simply takes written arguments from the attorneys on both sides because this case is so high profile. Anthony Price, the professor you saw in that report, he anticipates that there will be oral arguments. Jonathan, thank you very much for that, Jonathan. Sorry. Meanwhile, back to the focus tomorrow in Manhattan, of course, the Stormy Daniels to back on the stand Donald Trump back in that courthouse. But all of this at a time when a lot of people are trying to politically pinpoint what kind of impact is this going to have on the former president? maybe they might be surprised to hear the limited impact it can have, because we know the history on a former sitting president. Into this.
Advancing quickly.
Did you know there's no team schedule? What you talking about? All teams always schedule. TMD schedule slip in. TMD schedule slip in. I've been in the schedule. Teams always schedule.
Clones, all good. Also, try our allergy headache and nighttime pill.
When we say it'll be on time, they expect it to be on time. Her shipping to event. Keep those expectations with reliable ground shipping. Expected with USPS Ground Advantage. The Tempur-Pedic breeze makes sleep feel cool, so no more sweating home or blasting the air conditioning, because the Tempur breeze feels like a 10 degrees cool all night long. For a limited time, save up to $500 on select Tempur-Pedic adjustable mattress sets.
Only from Simply Safe, 24/7 lifeguard protection allows Simply Safe agents to help stop crime in real time. Stop police are on their way. For instant intruder deterrence and faster police response. Now get 40% off the Simply Safe system. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Progressive makes it easy to save with commercial online.
Miss the target.
So you can get back to your monster to-do list. Get a quote at progressiveCommercial.com. Sick of being fed up with fans and sky-high electric bills? Then you need Arctic Air Pure Chill, the personal space cooler that cools your place while saving you money. Just add water and turn it on. Pure Chill has 3 Arctic settings and is whisper quiet for a comfortable night's sleep. Place it in the living room and never break a sweat. Stay cool while you cook and breathe easy as it humidifies your room. Plus, our True Shield filter removes odors. Get your Arctic Air products online or at least find retailers.
One of the more interesting contenders on Trump's VP list on the issue that could decide this election. That's tonight on the end.
Joe Bideman.
Presents an intriguing opportunity to study the varying means of survival they each employed all these years. We may have chosen a different means of resistance, but our people fight for the same reason, for the world we once knew. Together we will end this occupation, or die trying. The resistance factions take a more flexible approach to training than traditional soldiers. You can often learn multiple new abilities with each promotion.
JC support of United
Way.
Way.
Follow your choices. Commander, each of our soldiers.
Ooh, excellent.
Their understanding of our tactics.
She's gifted.
Referred to as combat intelligence. Because of their unique experiences in the field, our faction soldiers from the resistance will gain access to new abilities based on this combat intelligence.
Alright, you might want to just go list the combo for the second. Sandy Storm, that is of course Stormy Daniels, set to retake the witness stand tomorrow as that cross-examination continues. Nate Boy is there and all ready for that, as he has been throughout this thing. Nate.
Hey, Will, so former President Donald Trump is spending the off day for the trial in Florida, meeting with donors, coming back to New York tonight. He'll be back here at the courthouse tomorrow morning, when Stormy Daniels' testimony will continue, with Trump attorney Susan Neckles expected to continue questioning her. The testimony ended yesterday with Daniels admitting that she was partly motivated by money, but denying that she extorted Trump. Daniels testified that she met the former president in 2006 and had sex with him shortly after. She ended up selling her story to Michael Cohen for $130,000. Daniels told the jury that she now hates Trump, and when Neckles asked if she wants to see Trump in jail,
Daniels responded, quote, "I want him to be held accountable." Daniels testified she met Trump at a celebrity golf tournament. She saw him several times after that. Daniels said that she wanted to be on the Apprentice TV show. During her direct testimony, Daniels provided extreme detail of her encounter with Trump. Trump's lawyers asked for a mistrial, saying the jury heard damaging testimony that's unrelated to the charges Trump faces. Judge Juan Merchan agreed the testimony went too far, but denied the request for a mistrial. And today, Trump posted on Truth Social, quote, "It is hard to sit back and listen to lies and false statements be made against you, knowing that if you respond, even in the most modest fashion, you are told by a corrupt and highly conflicted judge that you will be put in prison, maybe for a long period of time." Daniel's testimony resumes at 9:30 tomorrow morning. It will begin with the cross-examination. And the prosecution has already signaled they also have more questions for him. We'll send it back to you, Bill.
Well, I mean, thank you very much for that. Well, not salacious, necessarily the disastrous. Well, if you're thinking about what Bill Clinton back in the 1990s, not necessarily had that sort of affair with Monica Lewinsky came to light. His poll numbers after impeachment were higher. Beforehand, he had a 55% approval. After that, after the poll, 71%. So the American people back then didn't seem to care one way or the other. Julia Manchester, the national politics reporter. Very different times, very different gentlemen, very different cases. I grant you, Julia, but sometimes I thought that an issue like this would galvanize people to hate the guy that they're about. But sometimes wrong. Very, very wrong.
You're absolutely right, Neil, and you can just go back to the 2016 presidential election. When a month before that election took place, there was audio leaked of then businessman Donald Trump literally bragging about groping women. And, the conventional wisdom told us at the time that that was the death knell for the Trump campaign. Well, obviously, it didn't work out that way. So, I think there is precedent for this, that these salacious stories, the salacious background to men like Trump and also former President Clinton doesn't necessarily hurt them politically. And I think part of that has to do with, the American people aren't necessarily tuned into it the way you and I are. You have polls showing that most voters don't necessarily care about this, but they're going to the ballot box. They're thinking about the economy, the situation at the southern border, crime, healthcare, those kitchen table issues we talk so much about.
I do believe that the prosecution was fully intending to get, obviously, Stormy Daniels to give the most intimate and embarrassing and lurid of details. And maybe they counted on the fact that even if it wasn't going to be allowed, which oddly enough it was, it would do so much damage and jurors would be so affected by it that they'd been loaded to go after the guy. It could be just the opposite. It could look as a pile-on to those jurors, could it not? And to the American people who see this, that, wait a minute, this isn't what it was billed to be. This isn't the trial we thought it was going to be.
We can scan at this location. Yeah, I can absolutely see it backfiring. But, look, I think the prosecution, judging from the last few weeks of the trial, they seem to have hinged their strategy on this idea of election interference, that these hush money payments and the falsified documents and such, were done to interfere in the 2016 presidential election in order to sort of quash those negative stories about Trump. So, this might have been something they thought could have maybe boosted the former president, and that, it seems so salacious and gossipy. We'll have to see. I did see, some reporting from colleagues that were in the room that said that Stormy Daniels, during her testimony, sort of came off as very relatable, friendly, warm. She also went into major detail about her interactions with Trump. So we'll see how that plays going forward.
I'm curious too, because these two
I
other
don't want them
cases
rookies.
are far more significant, because this will be the
Give me them rookies. I'm going to need them.
So flip over Donald Trump, think that this is odd. This entire matter is being adjudicated as we speak. But some of the big ones, like the classified documents trial, that could be put off indefinitely. We're learning separately in the case of Bonnie Willis going after her appeals court hearing the arguments to get her out of handling that entire Donald Trump January 6th case. So some of the two big ones remain very much in doubt.
Despite their brilliance,
Absolutely, and this has sort of played into Trump's legal strategy.
A really long one, 13 days, I think it was.
Delay. Trump wants to delay these
14.
until after the election. So when he is president, he could theoretically, and I say this is very theoretical, very hypothetical, he could potentially claim some sort of immunity. He also doesn't want these two other cases that could be
such a hard choice in the beginning.
Damage him before the presidential election. I think you're absolutely right. There is this consensus among Republicans and Democrats that this case, the hush money case in New York, which is guaranteed to wrap up before election,
Guerrilla Tactics School.
the weakest out of all of them. So the developments in terms of the delaying and postponing of these other trials certainly helps Trump to place in his hands.
Bill Manchester, thank you very much. To, of course, the National Politics reporter. In the meantime, been following a story that at first the administration seemed to step back from and almost deny outright this argument that they were withholding arms and weaponry to Israel. It's likely because of the escalating conflict there and that they might do more damage.
Half price on training center. Definitely worth it.
Hi, Neil. Well, as you know, the Biden administration recently held back that shipment of precision bombs from Israel, but we're now learning the administration is considering withholding more weapons going forward. We're starting to hear from lawmakers on both sides of the aisle. Nobody is pleased with the Biden administration's policy on this. We're going to bring you the details coming up next.
Nothing on the local comms. Advent's been quiet lately.
Hey there, Brenda.
It's Carol.
Exactly. So which leg are we operating on?
You mean arm?
It's all connected. Asking the right question and greatly impact your
Are
future.
you sure you're an orthopedist?
Actually, I'm a Sagittarius. Especially when it comes to your finances.
You have a question? Are you a certified financial planner? Yes, I'm a CFP professional.
CFP professionals are committed to acting in your best interest. That's why it's gotta be a CFP. Find your CFP professional at letsmakeaplan.org.
Look, things may seem fine out there. If you need to watch out for diseases, I'll be okay. Does this look okay?
There are still those who would refuse to
I don't want to protect myself. The new Scott's Healthy Plus Soft is the only product that prevents 27 diseases while feeding your grass to help keep your lung healthy disease. Want me to show you how to put it on? No, I think I know how to use this guy.
Pick up a bag of the new Scott's Turf Builder Healthy Plus lawn food today.
Feed it alone. Feed it.
Cologuard? Cologuard.
Cologuard.
Screen for colon cancer.
At home, like you want. You demand. Cologuard is for people 45 plus at average risk, not high risk. False positive and negative results may occur. Ask your provider for Cologuard. I did it my way.
Find a great deal for your ideal hotel. Open Trivago, type in where you want to go. Select your check-in and check-out dates, and search. Compare prices for the same hotel and save up to $30 a month. Hotel, Trivago.
ready to deploy.
This making you uncomfortable? Good. When you've got type 2 diabetes like me, you have up to 4 times greater risk of stroke, heart attack, or worse, death, even when meeting your A1C goal. Discomfort can help you out. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm empowering you to get real with your healthcare provider. Talk to them about lowering your risk of stroke, heart attack, or death.
Course for Sector 12, East Africa.
My name is Giovanni Vitidio. 40 years ago, we started this world-famous paintball business. I walk anywhere from 5 to 6 miles every single day. To run a business like this, you really need that extra pep in the step. And I did it for $1,000. This is the fun. Because it's just not real. Down to Nature has fruits and vegetables. But Down to Nature equals great.
Get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer. Call or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code FOXNEWS.
Okay, Carol, you just tell her that she'll come. No. Getting older can be hard. My job is to help women embrace their age.
Can we do this?
Oh, no. That's a child. You are a... Exactly. It's just what we need. Very nice.
Laura Gillard can't help you that way, but we can help you own your age.
Well, we got the latest on the wicked tornado and the outbreak now that had some people hiding and trying to be safe inside a FedEx facility. They're finally out, but this is not over. The latest.
Is your shower trying to tell you something?
in and out of the bathtub becoming a safety concern? Are you worried about the cost of a bathroom remodel that could go on for weeks and weeks? Well, now you can have a gorgeous new bath or shower that's safer at a price you can afford with a one-day jacuzzi bath remodel.
Done in the same day. Did not have to wait. It is amazing.
I would give this whole experience a name. I definitely wish I would have called sooner.
From soft close shower doors and adjustable shower heads to features like grab bars and custom seats that combine safety and style. It's never been easier. Get your free design consultation, schedule your one-day installation, and start loving your new bath or shower right away.
Only weeks left to get waived installation and no interest and no payments for up to 1 year. Go to jacuzzibathremodel.com or call 800-991-2603. That's 800-991-2603. Call now.
All right, now, of course, the administration has come around to say, yes, some weapons were withheld to Israel, including, we are told from the Wall Street Journal, some 2,000 bombs that the administration apparently felt would do more damage than good in Gaza, just as it's trying to secure rescues and safety for those in that area. Anyway, Gillian Turner has been piecing all of this together because it's quite the ruckus, with Republicans claiming the White House is going too far. Gillian.
Hi, Neil. Well, administration officials already withheld a shipment of precision bombs to Israel. We are now learning that behind the scenes, officials here are considering postponing or even cutting further shipments. They're concerned that at least some of these weapons are going to be used by the IDF in Rafah, a city that's now packed with 1.3 million Palestinians thereabouts. A lot of those people already displaced by this ongoing war. Take a listen to that.
Today, you see too many Palestinians die. And so when you look at those results, and as I said a minute ago, and you try to imagine a repeat of such a campaign in an even more dense area than where Israel has operated to date, that's why we have such great concerns.
One major factor for concern, UNICEF now estimates 600,000 children are currently hunkered down in Rafah. The Biden administration wants an Israeli invasion plan that prioritizes their protection.
I'm not going to speak to anything beyond the current pause of assistance, the one shipment that we have currently paused in the review of others.
Republicans, though, say the Biden administration is now running afoul.
Got it covered.
What ammunition is being held up? Why is it being held up? We want to get to the bottom of this. Congress was not notified of this decision.
So Israel's been hit in the last few weeks by Iran, Hezbollah, and Hamas, dedicated to their destruction. And you're telling me you're going to tell them how to fight the war and what they can and can't use when everybody around them wants to kill all the Jews?
So on the other side of this issue, Democratic lawmakers are pushing back on President Biden sending any weapons to Israel. They say they don't want to be in a situation where the Biden administration is aiding and abetting civilians dying on the ground during this war. Neil?
All right, Gillian Turner at the State Department. Michael Oren back with us, the former Israeli ambassador to the United States. Ambassador, what do you make of this? Some weaponry withheld from Israel.
It's quite a harrowing experience, a shocking experience, deeply disappointing, Neil. And what can I say? It's frightening. We're fighting a two-front war, at least two fronts. Our civilian population has been evacuated from
excellent shot,
to the north part, which is uninhabitable under constant barrages from Hezbollah. Our soldiers have been killed up there. Down south, our soldiers are under fire from Hamas, situated within Rafah. We had 4 soldiers killed this week by a mortar barrage from inside Rafah, which reminds us of the atrocities of October 7th. It's not without precedent, you should know. In 2014, President Obama also held up a supply of vital missiles to us during another round of fighting with Hamas on the same basis that Israel supposedly was killing too many Palestinians. But the message to Israel, the message to American allies around the world is very, very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. Very a mixed message, because on one hand, the Biden administration has helped us in terms of very large sums in financial aid and blocking maneuvers in the United Nations to create a Palestinian state unilaterally that would threaten us. But now this. And And I must say, I think I would question whether it's actually a legal move. The Congress, about 20 years ago, passed a bill called QME, Qualitative Military Aid, which obligates any administration, Republican or Democrat, to report to Congress on the degree to which the United States is enabling Israel to defend itself by itself against any Middle Eastern adversary or any combination of Middle Eastern adversaries. I find it, and by the way, the president has to report to Congress the degree to which his or her administration is comporting with that law. I don't know how the White House would then report to Congress that it is upholding Israel's qualitative military acts at the time when it is denying the IDF, vital forms of ammunition in the middle of what is essentially a defensive war.
I assume you're a graduate of Columbia University here in New York. You know what's been going on there. We're trying to get back to normal, but anti-Israeli protests are still going to continue to hold. And now this news that the administration might be sort of tying one on behind, Israel's back and fighting this war. Do you feel this is a pile-on?
I feel that these protests, according to Crossmax, they started at my alma mater at Columbia, have a gravitational pull on Democratic policy toward the Middle East, toward Israel, and they're almost measured. And it's very disconcerting again because these protests may be aimed superficially at Israel, but they're actually aimed at the United States of America. We're talking about death to America, burning the American flag, spitting on policemen. And I have been asked by the Jewish alumni of Columbia to represent them to the press, to the Congress, and several weeks ago I already called on the administration to instruct the FBI to investigate who's organizing these protests, because they're clearly organized and orchestrated and funded. Just look at the tents. They're all the same tents. Look at the flags. They're all the same flags.
Well, do you feel very quickly, Ambassador, that Joe Biden means what he says when he says Israel has his unequivocal support?
Well, I think that I know Joe Biden very well. I worked with him very closely when he was vice president, and I was in Washington, and I know he's very committed to Israel's security, to the historic alliance between Israel and the United States. But you can't say that you're unequivocally supportive of Israel when, in fact, you're qualifying to support of Israel. And you're qualifying to support of Israel at the height of a war, and the height of a war which Israel didn't want, in which heinous and barbarous terrorists broke a ceasefire and massacred 1,200 Israelis, emulated them, beheaded them, raped them, took into satanic captivity more than 250 of them. And in American terms, this would be about the equivalent of about 34,000 Americans killed on a single afternoon. What would the United States do, I wonder?
Good points, Ambassador. Thank you very much. Be safe, be well. Michael Oren, the former Israeli ambassador to the United States. By the way, we do want to keep you up to date on some of these severe storms that have been happening in this country, particularly these tornadoes. We've been going through a pretty wicked streak of them right now, particularly in Oklahoma, the latest from there.
I will reposition.
Nice comment. Nothing like a little confidence boost to ease you back into dating scene. That includes having a smile to feel good about. Fortunately, Aspen Dental specializes in dentures and implants made just for you. And with flexible financing, you don't need to sacrifice quality work for a price that fits your budget. $0 down plus 0%.
Are going to explode this round or what?
Helping my patients put their best smile forward. It's one more way.
There he goes.
Welcome to our legacy, where excellence, comfort, and electricity.
XCOM stands against progress. Again, they assault all peacekeeping forces in the outer territory.
To the hour.
And again,
Never saves my
they would see chaos and brutality.
Lowe's, your spring projects are at God. So work your prices down. You get everything you need from us. Finished. Decide it out. With my spring card, you can save 5% every day. Hurry and shop spring deals now at Lowe's. Hey, you need your house check. Good call.
Get 2 pairs and an eye exam for $79.95 America's Best.
We're here today to set the record straight. Don't do Katrina's contraction. Surgery is not the only treatment option. People may think their contraction has to be severely treated, but it doesn't. Visit findaheadspecialist.com today to get started. There are many ways to do things. At Old Dominion Freight Line, we do them this way. This way is people who start early, people who care and inspire each other to do things the way they should be done. This way uses technology and goes the extra mile to deliver your promises on time every time. This way is why we number one national LTL carrier performance. For us, this way is the right way, which is why it's the only way.
It's time. Yes, the time has come for a fresh approach to dog food. Every day, more dog people are deciding it's time to quit the kibble and feed their dogs fresh food from the farmer's dog. Made by vets and delivered right to your door, precisely portioned for your dog's needs. It's an idea whose time has come.
Life insurance is too important to put off another day. That's why SelectQuote makes getting coverage you need easy. Now get up to a $2 million policy with no medical exam and same-day coverage.
Visit SelectQuote.com now.
Is that necessary? No. Neither's missing your daughter's competition to do pay. But Paycom employees do their own pay, so you don't have to miss your daughter's big day. Time to shop. Get Paycom and make the unnecessary unnecessary.
Are you satisfied with the results you get from expensive nutritional supplements that don't contain this compound? The Triamino 150 with its 70 minerals, 80 other nutrients. Look at the 2 videos on our website listed on the screen.
Well, this is the DLC. Okay, we have to upgrade our weapons and shit still, so we're gonna have to wait on that.
You can adjust your sharpen as healthy as I am and as good as Kate. When you're 90 years old, you can consume a full spectrum of minerals every day. Order now. You'll be glad you did.
Coming in for you now.
All right, John, all these protests going on, it's just in the last 24 hours, folks. A lot of that was happening today, overnight, of course, these protests going on in the city, we've seen them all over the country. And then step back and say whether we're all freaking out about this. Wall Street Brigade probably say, well, that's funny, that doesn't seem to be happening. 6th day in a row we've seen the Dow do this. Yeah, we haven't seen that since mid last year. We've got Ted Weisberg with us, the Seaport Securities, because this has been a steady theme. I said that the markets, I understand, coming along, where you don't line along protest and the like, but why is that? That's been the same dating back to the start of this Israeli war.
Well, I think that they go actually beyond that. I mean, unfortunately, the markets are not logical. So much of the markets are psychological. It's hard to define how much is psychological and how much is real. But at the end of the day, there's nothing rational about markets, in my opinion. They're either overbought, oversold, but there's no, I don't think there's any realistic equilibrium. Yeah, basically, and we're all on the same
So you are the but just to make the point, people can't understand that, and they think back to 1968 when we had crazy markets, of course. But the fact of the matter is, different times, different places, it can change on a dime. But there are a lot of things going for markets right now, right?
Yeah, well, exactly. But let's talk about the negatives, because there were so many negatives, which is what makes it confusing for folks. You know, it's the Middle East, it's Ukraine, it's the Fed and the direction of interest rates. Aren't they going to raise rates? Lower rates, and if so, when? Maybe they do nothing. It's an election year. These are all unknowns, quite frankly, and the market has trouble with unknowns. And so you would say, well, then logically, why is the market doing so well? Well, so we're climbing that proverbial wall of worry. On the other hand, it is at the end of the day all about corporate earnings. And corporate earnings on balance have been terrific. Yes, there's been a few hiccups and a few problems with individual companies in terms of the earnings of this
reporting period like there is with any reporting period. But at the end of the day, it will be corporate earnings that will drive the markets. And on balance, the earnings have been terrific. And it looks like they're going to remain good in spite of all the unknowns that are out there. So I guess we have to conclude at the end of the day, yes, it's the wall of worry, and that's legitimate, but it's corporate earnings, and that is the basis for a strong stock market.
Now, I don't think optimism back in fashion to say the Federal Reserve is going to cut interest rates before the year is out, probably before the election. I don't want to be jaded to think that they would be so overtly political, but they could use the excuse that, well, the latest employment report showed a dramatic slowdown in activity, so they have reason to do that. Whatever your opinions on that, do they have reason to do that?
Well, it is a bit perverse if you think about it, Neil, because on the one hand, we're rooting for weak economic numbers to reinforce the Fed in terms of lowering interest rates. I mean, I'm not sure we should all be rooting for economic weakness. I think we should be rooting for economic strength.
And markets tend to more often do well on the rising rate. The lowering of rate could indicate profit.
Exactly, and ultimately that's a negative, not a positive for the stock market. So, I mean, I think it's great that everybody's rooting for lower interest rates, and people think we're going back to the world of zero interest rates, which we experienced. And I agree with you. In my opinion, that's an aberration, and the history books will show that to be true.
What do you tell investors? I'm sorry to jump on you, my friend, but you and I have been covering this a long time. We're both decades younger than our years. But the one thing I was, it depends on your timing perspective. I was joking a bit. Timing and long-term for me is breakfast on Monday. That's changed. So does it depend on whether you're talking to a young person or an older person? How do you guide them on the markets?
Oh, absolutely. So at the end of the day, I'm a stock jockey, but at my age, I put up to buy green bananas. On the other hand, if you're younger, there are always opportunities. And I mean, if you just look, I can remember the period of 1973, 74, the Dow was playing 580, and here we are at 38 or 39,000. So the answer is very simple. It's not great. The answer is, if you are a long-term investor, obviously there are going to be some hiccups along the way. But basically, there are always opportunities in the stock market. People say, it's a market of stocks, not a stock market. And so there's always something positive to do. So if I were young, I'd be in there probably with both feet.
What's the headlines? Because you give up, headlines for Seaport Securities still has his big board pass, still an iconic figure, still one of the best money guys I know. In the meantime here, something we really can't control is Mother Nature. When she decides to whack an area like she did with this incredibly wicked tornado outbreak, she could take no prisoners. We're going to have Robert Ray on what went down in Oklahoma.
Diabetes can serve up a lot of questions. Like, what is your glucose, and can you have more carbs? Before you decide, the Freestyle Libre 3 system. Know your glucose and where it's heading. No finger sticks needed. Now the world's smallest and thinnest sensor sends your glucose levels directly to your smartphone. Manage your diabetes with more confidence and lower your A1C. The #1 CGM prescribed in the US. Try for free at freestylelibre.us.
In position to drop.
You know the rule. No phones at the dinner table.
I know, I'm sorry. It's just Noble Gold Investments. I bought some gold for the kids. Fine. Well, the gold you bought me gives me so much security in this economic disaster we're having.
We've confirmed that the
I'll have them too.
well, during our previous
I've been gold investments for years. Pretty sure they can wait until I have the launch.
If we try to take them back by force, it won't be long before we're totally outnumbered by enemy reinforcements.
They say seeing is believing, but with Spencer Foster, that's not part of the story. We handcraft every story using the finest materials like indulgent and ultra-conforming intolerance for a beautiful natural setting describing every single element. During our Memorial Day sale, bring home incredible comfort with savings up to $800 on select adjustable mattresses. Spencer Foster.
We have the advantage of stealth here, so we should try to get in and out as quietly as possible. If the enemy's progress, this is going to get a whole lot harder.
Stay clear of those turrets. We're not entirely sure if they're full bodies or mostly triggered.
It's your money. Use it when you need it.
Solid copy.
What interesting matters on Trump's VP list on the issue that could decide this election. That's tonight on the Angle.
The invaders send patrol. We have Firebrand on standby for evac, Commander, but as soon as she gets in range, the whole compound will go on high alert. We should hold back unless we have the target or it's an absolute emergency.
Hi.
10-4.
Awesome.
10-4. I can cover it. Move! Stepping off.
Oops.
Reading positive story program. Reading stories through them.
That's a long run.
Very big. Thank you for your support. It allows our therapy dog program.
Copy that.
Wreaking havoc across multiple states. We've got the very latest updates we're looking at from Robert Ray in Neil, storms have been ravaging the heartland for weeks, and now they're moving into the Ohio Valley and Tennessee. Look at this house in Barnesville. This is the kitchen. Imagine the memories that were created here and now totally destroyed. You look at this entire home, the cinder blocks tossed around in this area. An EF4 tornado, Neil. And I want to have you walk with us so you can see some of the damage. That is winds, unfortunately, of nearly 175 miles per hour. National Weather Service upgraded it recently from an EF3. This tornado came in about 9:30, 10 o'clock at night on Monday in this town of 1,000 people just north of Tulsa, Oklahoma, an area that is no stranger to situations like this. But when it happens, boy, does it hit home. One person is dead, unfortunately, and many people survived because of this right here. Storm shelters or cellars. And Lloyd Alford, photographer, come down here, Lloyd. I want them to see the inside of this storm shelter. I will walk out and you can go in. Lloyd, look at that. Down there is water inside the shelter from the amount of rain that came in. And there was a woman inside this during the storm as it hit. She survived. Listen to her account, Neil.
The cellar door blew open. There was just stuff blowing everywhere in the door. I just came up out of it. The storm, see this storm, I had this chain to latch it, and I even had it latched to the bolt to the floor, and it just ripped it off. I was kept going down in there, and I just got in the floor the best I could with my little dog. We're alive.
Says I am to obey.
We're alive. Thank God we're alive.
Neil, she would not have lived if it were not for going down here today. This is the door that she was talking about, that chain right here that came off. This is about to be nearly 100 pounds, if not more, Neil, and it is off its hinges and won't even shut fully at that point. You can see, imagine the tornado coming across here, ripping this up while she was down in there, and moving it to the side like that, and all the sound and the fury of what's going on outside with the EF4 tornado, 175-mile-an-hour winds, ripping apart her neighborhood and over 40 homes here
in this town of just 1,000 people, and all you have to do is take a look around here to realize this was a catastrophic event. And it's been going on for weeks here in the heartland and continues to head east. There's got to be a break soon, though May is the toughest and deadliest month for severe season. Neil, we are reporting here in Oklahoma, and we hope that we don't come back in the next month for another round of hitting damage like this.
Yeah, so too, my friend. So too, Robert Ray. So think about it. We've had the nasty weather, the nasty protests. Sometimes you might even lose a sense of where's God in all of this. And who knows?
You know, I spend a lot of time thinking about dirt at 3 in the morning. What people don't know is that not all dirt is the same. You need dirt with the right kind of nutrients. Look at this new organic soil from Miracle-Gro. Everybody should have it. This is as good as gold in any garden. If people only knew that it really is about the dirt. You're a dirt nerd. Huge dirt nerd. I'm proud of it. Switch to Shopify. So you build it better, scale it faster, sell more, much more. Take your business to the next stage. You switch to Shopify.
Our biggest challenge? Uncertainty. If these surcharges goes to expect tow shipping to your advantage.
Keep it simple with clear upfront pricing.
With USPS Ground Advantage.
Immediately upon sight.
My back got injured very bad. I was off work for about a year. I heard about a relief factor from my wife. I took it every day, 3 times a day, for 3 weeks. I looked at her and I said, the pain is gone. And she said, I'm glad it helped. I said, no, you don't understand. It's gone. You too can feel better every day with Relief Factor, a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Call or go online now for our 3-week quick start, just $19.95.
These bills are crazy.
Efficiently executed and no casualties.
She has no idea she's sitting on a gold one. She doesn't know that if she owns a life insurance policy of $100,000 or more, she can sell all or part of it to Coventry for cash, even a term policy. Even a term policy? Even a term?
Find out if you're sitting on a gold mine. Call Coventry Direct today at 800-496-9200 or visit CoventryDirect.com.
Did you good? With Chewy, save 20% on your first pharmacy order. So you can put an end to the itch. Get someone take medication, delivered right to your door.
We have a garage door that isn't there.
So I went on Angie. It took me just a handful of minutes.
Those builders, they were mountable, they did high quality work.
They wanted us to be happy with the work done as well. It is a beautiful garage, I gotta say. Get started today at Angie.com.
Once retired, Marcus decided I will never again work for another man or woman. I abandoned my corporate phone plan, and I'll get a new plan for consumer selling for up to half the cost.
Let's go, birds.
When freedom calls, we're here to answer.
If you spit blood when you brush, it could be the start of a tongue.
The headquarters of the skirmisher.
New Parodontax Active Gum Repair Breath Freshener. Clinically proven to help reverse the 4 signs of early gum disease.
We can scan
A new toothpaste from Parodontax, the gum experts.
As news breaks, Fox News is reporting live.
Judge Ramashan himself was losing patience with the prosecution case.
All his protests, they continue to grow, as does the police response. And Israeli forces seized the Rafah crossing.
Only on Fox News Channel.
Commander.
There has not been one day that I was not excited about coming to work. Not one. I've had hard days. I've had long days. I've had sad days. But most of the days have been filled with joy and meaning and purpose. And that is because of you.
He is a remarkable man, and for regular viewers of this show, you'll know over the years, the many years, I've had the pleasure to have him on and share some powerful moments. Pastor of America's largest Episcopal church. He's led funeral services for the likes of President George Bush Sr., Barbara Bush, the last man to walk on the moon being inserted. I was a eulogist at that sermon at that funeral as well. So I got to see close up in action, and man oh man, anyone else delivering a eulogy or anything in that form falls a very, very distant also ran with the pastor, Russ Levinson, with us right now. So this is it. You really mean it. You are leaving. You are retiring. What's wrong with you?
Well, Neil, always good to be with you. I always appreciate what you do for everyone and the way in which you do it. Your optimism is contagious and appreciated.
Answer my question. I don't want you to leave. Why are you leaving?
Well, I'll stay. You know, we all, those in every vocation, always have a calling right up to the end. So I'll continue to be a priest and a pastor in a different way. But I've been here 17 years. I've been a priest for over 30. And I have grandchildren, and I have children that I want to be closer to. I will have been married 40 years this summer, and fortunately, my wife wants to keep me around, and we have a good time, you know, more of a good time. But I'll continue writing some and doing some other things, but just not in this post, yeah.
That's awesome. I know I've been 40 years as well, and my wife, but that's 40 years of her life. That's to be aware. But I digress. What I find marvelous that I'm not going to spoke, having seen what you do and the time and care you put in what you do. You do a reform, but you really get at people's hearts. And you don't judge them whether they're frequent mass goers or new to the church. That's a delicate balance, especially these days.
It really is, Neil. I had the opportunity to kind of lead my last two messages over the last few weeks, and the next to last was one I entitled Remain in Jesus. And Jesus invited his followers to remain in him. And he said, the chief way you remain in me, remain in our Lord, is by loving one another. And so I do think that the chief expression of the Christian faith, Judeo-Christian faith, is that we love one another. And when people walk into churches these days, I think they need to feel loved, not only by God, but by those who are there. And I find the members where I've served for 17 years, the same ones, they're so loving, and they're so wonderful about greeting and welcoming people in. But I think that's the call of all religious communities, really.
Well, they're not all delivering that, though, Pastor. One thing that struck me about your inherent sense of fairness, you said recently, we are conservatives and liberals. We're people who hold traditional marriage and those who want same-sex marriage. Now, that ought to be the church. Part of the DNA, as made St. Martin's work, we're by and large a pretty conservative church. But that's not what we lead with. People know who we are, what we're about. But mostly they come because they're meeting people. You always get back to that. It's about meeting people, embracing people, all people. That's easier said than done.
It is, but it is the invitation of our Lord. And again, you've got to listen to those last words of my boss. And my boss tonight, before he left us, said, this is how people will know you follow me, is if you love one another. And yes, we are more of a traditional, St. Martin's is more of a traditional church. I'm more of a traditional conservative priest, but I don't lead with that. I lead with love, and I was just talking to someone, I'm still a work in progress at 62 years old, and I still got a lot to learn. But I think the way forward is to do that. And in the time in which we live right now, Neil, as you and I have talked many times, there's so much that seems overwhelming. One of my good friends used to say, you need to have a time, and it seems like the issue or the problem, the person running, and let that be the fact that God is trying to bring you. What's the God? My wife gave me one of the verses from said, you listen to the voice behind you, but you turn back to the right. Until you're turning to the right. That's what I say. And I think we need to be still all the time. In a world which has a lot more strength, we just aware of a lot of that. And listen to that voice of God, inviting us to be communities of judgment, inviting us to inviting us to serve one another. That's our best. That's what our best foot for. It's also being a light of Christ to other people.
It's for someone you, of course, I've seen that pastor, seen him back out of the day. You don't see that. Of course, I wish you much success. Which is impossible. I just want to
Break up the whole she hurry hard, then she watered, then she had her family reunion in a shoebox. They agreed up the pot. Biden's big anti-Semitism speech not stopping calls for the beheading as Kappa Kappa Al-Qaeda gets in touch with their inner ISIS. Cops liberating George Washington from occupied Hamas, with D.C. police moving to dismantle GW's anti-Israel encampment. But now before the terror-loving memes got 2 weeks of cosplaying as the real thing, with literal calls to chop off the heads of ex-school administrators. The Greeks also beaming up pro-terror slogans on campus like "Long live the student intifada." So naturally, the squad is finding solidarity with protesters who harass Jews.
They have been arrested and charged with disproportionate offenses. They have been wrongfully smeared as anti-Semitic. Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Police pepper sprayed, brutalized, and arrested non-violent student protesters at George Washington University at 3 a.m. This is an explicit attempt to repress students exercising their First Amendment rights.
Alright, happy October 7th, you creeps. But at least there's one Democrat with a spine, John Fetterman, trying to smack some sense into the Hamas youth.
I'm not really sure what they're really, protesting about. If you ask them, they're not really sure. They can't, and now they're not talking about ceasefires anymore. And now they're talking about divesting and harming Israel, and that it's crazy. It's actually working against peace in Gaza. And Hamas is convinced that they've won the PR war, and they keep seeing all these kinds of protests across the nation on these campuses.
Jesse, I feel like the adults are coming home. You get this dad energy, this dad brain energy in the air, as if like together everybody's just said we've had enough. Take your toys, go to your room.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of dad energy from Fetterman.
Yeah.
Who I totally misjudged. He sounds based. I'm very bad at math. Maybe you could help me out. All right, this is a little game. It's called the Simple Addition. How many hours do you think we've seen in riots from the left over the last month on campus? Talking about vandalism, resisting arrest, there's pepper spray.
300.
Let's just be a little more charitable. I'd say 12. 12 solid hours of actual left-wing violence, all right? Then let's add that to the 11. So that was 3 months. We had arson, we had 24 homicides, we had about $2 billion worth of property damage. And remember the 30-day siege in Portland. So I'm giving that maybe about 200 hours of left-wing political violence. And then just for fun, let's just throw in the Trump inauguration when they fly on the windows in. Let's just say that's 3 hours. So according to my arithmetic, that would be 215 total hours of left-wing violence. Now, let's compare that to January 6th. I looked at the timeline. We're from 1 o'clock to 6 o'clock. So that's 5 hours. Okay, I'm not downplaying January 6th. That's political violence. 215 hours, according to my calculations, a little bit more than 5 hours. So let's just look at the rhetoric, shall we? Yes, some people may intend hang like Pence, and I condemn. But then I just heard on May 6th, a lot of chants of guillotine off with their heads. I've also heard things like go back to the oven, from the river to the sea, and Intifada. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Intifada.
Right. Not enchilada, Intifada.
Will do.
And Intifada. Not only that, you're seeing people align themselves with Hamas. Not just anti-Israel, they are aligning themselves with a foreign terrorist organization. I don't remember seeing a lot of people with Russian hats on January 6th. I didn't see a lot of pro-Putin people out there. So, you know what? Let's just not count the urban warfare in the inner city because those aren't Republicans shooting up the place. But just to be fair, so let me be fair to you. It's pretty clear that you cannot continue to say that right-wing violence is a major, major issue in the United States from the left is terrorizing the country almost every single day, every single year. And I've just had it because you put a target on everybody's back, and that has to stop. So I'm not downplaying January 6th, but you guys have downplayed your side. And it's time for you to admit that this is a dangerous, toxic, horrific movement that you have not done what you need to do to say, I rest my case.
Well, Marie, he's pointing this whole thing at you. You have a chance to respond.
So, here's the difference. January 6th was encouraged by Donald Trump.
When he said peaceful?
When he said, go down to the Capitol, I'm going to be with you.
Be peaceful.
All of his...
Why do you avoid that?
Because, Greg, that does not erase the months of rhetoric where he was encouraging groups to protest the result of this election. No.
You hate
He took away, you hate a lot.
I'm actually saying what he
You
said.
ignore many of the words he said. And to bring this to today, though, in comparison, one of the reasons these protesters are on the streets is Joe Biden is standing squarely by Israel. Joe Biden, John Fetterman, Tony Blinken, these are the people in the administration who are standing so squarely by Israel that a lot of progressives are angry at them. So the difference is Donald Trump encouraged political violence from his supporters on January 6th.
No, he did.
And Joe Biden is doing something these protesters are angry about because he's refusing to back away from Israel. And the one question he answered when he gave remarks last week was, have these protests changed your policy? And he said, no.
I don't think Trump ever encouraged people to get in other people's faces. Democrats did. No, he didn't.
100%.
Show me that clip. All right, I got to go to Judge. We gave you your chance, Marie.
Look, you say that Joe Biden is refusing to change anything. Are you kidding? He's withholding the armaments. He is literally tying the hands of Israel behind their back. All of a sudden, Israel is being told how to fight a war that they didn't start, where 1,200 Israelis, mostly citizens, were massacred. And Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East, and yes, we are on their side. And then Joe Biden comes out, the only time we hear the truth is when he's not reading or mumbling on a teleprompter, and he's walking to Marine One and says, I condemn those who don't understand the Palestinians. No, Joe, when you read a teleprompter, you say things that are pro-Israel, but it's always too little, too late on virtually everything that he talks about. You know, Biden was so concerned about, white nationalism in the military. Remember that one? We're going to have an investigation. We're going to send the FBI. This white nationalism, we got to worry about that. If you're black, you worry about that. If those white nationalists are after you, they have the investigation. There's no white nationalism in it's a problem anymore. Is Joe Biden talking about let's find out what's going on with these kids, who's funding them, who's yelling guillotine, gallows, who's yelling to hang people, to destroy a country, rivers of the sea. This is about the elimination of the Jews in this country. And Joe Biden is the weakest president we've had. And the whole idea that Rashida Tlaib comes out, she says Netanyahu should be arrested. Oh, now you say Netanyahu should be arrested. And they go on, and we should be talking about disproportionate spears to these kids who are being arrested. No, the disproportionate spears were January 6th, where people are in jail for 4 years when they simply trespass.
All right, Dana. So many things I want to ask you, but I think you should just, I feel like
one of the things that seems on the segment is just talking about what Biden is basically saying, which is, hey, guess what? You guys now are in even a better negotiating position. And how do we know that? Well, right after the announcement made by Secretary Austin of the arms cut to Israel, Hamas released a statement basically only wanted to discuss they wanted and so Israel was sure all of this, trying to regulate by the administration. I think they should have just done this whole operation faster, sooner, they over at White House. Because the box, the guy is going to mess the box. He said that the one thing about fighting for Israel is that he's talking about like drug laws, but actually there are specific conditions that are very good. I'm not really different than holding that as well. And that's where you're going to see that. Purple story kind of lines on that, but this one we're going to sort of stuff. So if you want to target these
terrorists, then you should give them those weapons.
Save this.
And you can protect more people. The other thing is, 400, 500 trucks a day of aid going into Gaza.
I'm gonna catch you guys next time for sure. Alright, stay tuned. Lot of action. Lot of action.
And they're also then reselling it on the black market and making sure that the mosques are. So, Free Palestine